Good evening, everyone. Glad to see everyone out tonight. We will get started on our committee meetings, our Hamblen County Legislative Body work session. Before we do, I'd like to welcome everyone and remind everyone that our rules are at the back of the room, and it regards public speaking, what have you. This body operates under Robert's Rules of Order unless our local rules supersede. Please remember to operate through your committee chairman. Also, we just try to keep order with that. To remind everyone, if you can, go ahead and put your cell phones on silent. Put them away if you can. One other thing, it's also been noted once again, Commissioners, that when we do speak, we do not use our mics as we should. And therefore, it doesn't come across on our videos that we present. So I'm asking everyone, please use your mics, turn them on. You don't have to leave it on the entire time, but please turn it on when you're speaking. That said, I think that's it. We will begin. Chairman Horner, the Jail Justice Center Committee, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd call the Justice Center Public Safety Committee to order. If anyone wishing to address the committee may do so at this time. You'll have 3 minutes.
Lenoe, 2343 Joe Stevens Road. Once again with the Justice Center Jail. We have another change order, number 21, adding even more to the cost. And yet, the public, as well as most commissioners, has no information from the attorney that you hired and that the taxpayers are paying about what's going to happen and when is it going to happen, as far as the questions about a number of the change orders and items that most people think should have been included in the plans originally rather than being a change order. So I simply ask, when are we going to talk to that attorney? When are you going to talk to that attorney? When is she going to meet with you? Not just the mayor, not just Mr. Pettit, not just any one commissioner, but either the entire commission in an executive session or through contact that all the commissioners know about, not just the chosen few. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address? If not, item 3A, old business, there is none. Item 4A, the Justice Center project update. Tony Pettit, Burwell Construction.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
As we get closer and closer to the end, I got more and more pictures.
One second, Tony.
Okay. Well, let me spout off some numbers while we work with Bill Gates technology. Bill Gates knows I don't like him. Monthly report for June, contract amount through change order number 20 is $94,753,311.11. Billed through the end of May was $82,261,908 and the 11 cents, which makes it 86.82% complete. However, we've been tracking stored materials from the get-go. Stored materials are currently $8,337,000, which makes, if you put that back into the equation of actual work in place, is 78% complete. Substantial completion is still September 30th. We're progressing right along. As you can see, the brickwork is ongoing. They've had some issues with delivery of the brick, but they're banging people to get it here. They had a delivery last week. Windows and storefronts, if you'll notice, you'll drive around the building, there's beginning to be windows and stuff. Somebody commented they like the building orange. I spent the weekend at the baseball games, and I like that color too, but it's gonna be a brick eventually, so. The drywall framing continues, the drywall hanging continues, elevator work, we got operable, platforms now. They continue on your elevators. The mechanical, electrical, and the plumbing is progressing. Still see some, rough ends going in above ceilings, and, that's continuing. You'll begin to see some civil work on on sidewalks and stuff. Once brick gets kind of out of the way off the front and back around to the corners in the back, you'll start seeing some grading and some civil work, sidewalks and paving, and that'll start in July. Also, if you've been paying attention, the west side of the building on the detention tower is still open, and they're leaving that open because some of their built-in security furniture is too big to go through the elevators. It comes in pieces, so they're stacking that in there, and it's scheduled to actually close up in July. So that we'll start wrapping that up in July. And that's my report. Let's go run through some pictures. Now, interrupt me if you have any questions. That's our front entrance. That blue that you see here is a sheathing board, and it actually get wrapped in a cladding, metal. The shot, Blaine's drone took this shot, shows the Justice Center looking back toward the detention area. Another nice shot of that. See your rooftop units in place. Your roofing is nearing completion. This is your Sally Port. You're looking at the west side, and that's the entrance to the Sally Port where the intake. So if you're in trouble, you'll come right through here and get into the jail right there. This is kind of what we call the alley, and this is judges parking and access to the courtroom side for the judicial members. And the brick continues there. This is a courtroom, progress there. All three of them are about the same stage now. I think the last time we were here, we showed one, and they all kind of look like this now. That's looking down the hall back out toward the entrance. You're standing at the other end, at the far end of the areas. This is the work windows that was part of one of the change orders we had, where you added the 3 transaction windows for the clerk's area. The progress there. This last time we talked about the magistrate's courtroom and the things that were there. They had that on a hard hold, and now the progress has been the walls being moved over 3 feet, and this is the progress in that change order. I took this picture because they're making measures to what I call climatize. I'm not sure that's a word, but air conditioning spaces to allow the millwork to start. So this visqueen and tape around this entrance here is to help them get the humidity out and allow them to start millwork and cabinet work and stuff like that. So this is back toward the one of the judges' offices. The change order we have that's coming up is that during review, the owner requested that we add a security door here, and this is the holding cells between the courtrooms, and this is mainly for safety. We'll talk about that later, but I went ahead and snapped a picture of it. Then I went over to the, I'm not sure all these are right order, but I went over into the tower. The towers, the users group has color coordinated each segment of the area. So you got yellow, you got blue, you got orange, teal. I don't do colors, but they got all different colors up through there. And you're in the control room, which you're above, and I took some pictures here. So that one's looking out toward the short wing in that quarter. This is from the same vantage point looking back out to the east. That's looking down, I'm still in the control room, I'm looking down to the shower area, and the janitor's closet's back there in the back. And the color coordinated things, I think they're gonna try to get uniforms to match the stripe on the wall, so they can look at the inmate and know where they're supposed to be. Now I'm down in the jail itself, looking at that same. This block right here will get an epoxy color on it because it'll be in the shower area. I'm in the rec room looking out, so this is for that section of detention. This is their rec room. Now I'm at the far end of that rec room looking back in. This is the east side of the sally port going into the, that's actually the exit for intake. That's inside. You still, when you stop seeing, I used to look at billions of dollars of construction and kind of judge where we were. When you start seeing all this stuff sitting around, it's out of the way, you know it's getting installed somewhere and you're getting closer. So this is the intake of the Sally Port garage. Another shot of the courtroom. This is a judicial corridor. There's another shot of the overhead control tower, and he's actually looking into two different, looks like mirror reverse, but you're looking into two different detention areas. They're totally separate. There's a dividing wall right in the middle of that picture. And the aspect ratios on this, don't get after me about wide stairs. They're not really that wide. They're 3'6" wide, but this is showing the mezzanine stairs, the upper and lower cell doors. Another different cordon color, and that's the kind of the short wing. Shows the soffit up underneath, and above that's the other level of cells. And that's the pictures. Any questions?
I have one, sir, please. I'm just curious by what I'm reading, is this something the architect missed when he was drawing the plans, or is it something
Commissioner,
that fell through after?
Commissioner, he's just on giving the report right now. We've not covered
My
that yet.
apologies, thank you, sir.
You talk about change order and everything.
Yes, sir, my apologies, sir.
Any other questions? Item 4B, change order number 21.
I'll go through the change order and then if I don't answer the
Yes,
question,
sir,
I'll get to it.
thank you.
All right, so this is change order 21. The end users wanted another body scanner down at the, what do we call them? People that can go out and work during the day. Trustees, thank you, thanks. So as they come back in, they want to be able to scan them, make sure they didn't pick up anything to hurt somebody else or get it into the jail or something like that. So we had to have power for it. And we also moved some power around. And I think this has got the elevator in it, so the elevator inspector always has a heat head or a smoke head, and whatever we put in there, he wants the other one. So that's been my whole career, okay? So, but Blaine Construction was able to get this done, and it's a zero cost change order, but it is a change in the drawings. The hard ceilings, PCO number 86 in the electrical rooms, if you read into the detail of this, you'll see an AHJ. AHJ stands for Authority Having Jurisdiction, which means usually the inspector. So the inspector came through and said, you've got some electrical and you've got a roof drain over the top of the electrical. And the most economical way to address it, and he bring this up until we're way down the line. So the most economical way of doing this was to make a hard ceiling right below the roof drain, right above the electrical. And it also has a pan to catch anything should it ever leak, too. So that cost, and it happened in two different areas. It happened in the mechanical room, going through an electrical room, and it happened in the kitchen area. So it's two different areas. and they constructed this hard ceiling with the pan for $6,000. So that's that change order, and that's brought on by the inspector. Then you have the plumbing vent detail, and this is where you see the AHJ authority having jurisdiction. He determined from somewhere that the pipes that's draining the day rooms, there's actually a drain in the day rooms in each one of these individual detention areas on 3 floors. There's 2 on each wing. That pipe ran too long without being vented. And there's a lot of back and forth between the designer and him, and he finally, we came up with a way of not having to change out the pipe. The pipe is a 3-inch pipe, and he was wanting to make a bigger pipe. So they were able to use a Studer vent. And a Studer vent is kind of like, if you have a kitchen island, you have a Studer vent probably in there to use in your kitchen island. And this is exactly how they solved this problem. But they had to put it on each one of those drains, pipes, and get back in there on all sections of the floors to add that. So about the best way we could do, the most economical way to address that issue was those Studer vents, and it was $27,488. Then I got one more, and then I'll take questions. The ceiling revisions in the kitchen based on coordination. When we go on a tour, look up, and we'll get in there before we put ceilings in. It's amazing how much stuff's in that ceiling. So they had the main culprit here that caused this issue was a grease vent out of the kitchen, which is on the bottom floor, coming in and going up. It has to go all the way up to the roof, plus roof drains coming down, electrical, even to the point that they were worried about the 4 inches of the lot. Okay, so they all coordinated that, and they had to drop that ceiling down another 2 to 3 inches and made it fit. And they were able to do that at no cost. They still changed the drawing. Chairman, I'm ready for questions.
Anyone have any questions?
I do. Mr. Chairman, my question is, was this something that should have been initially in the architectural drawings?
The $27,000 one, there were comments back and forth about this inspector go to a seminar and made aware of this. It was pretty obscure. I don't know whether it should have been called or not, but it was a pretty obscure interpretation of the code and how they kicked back 2 or 3 times, but they couldn't prevail on changing his mind. So it wasn't for code. So you're supposed to be getting stuff by code.
Okay. So is, in your opinion, because you're the authority as far as I'm concerned, would this have been something that they should eat, or something we should have to
With
pay?
a discussion, yeah.
At some point, I'm hoping to hear
Yeah.
that discussion from the contract
We're
attorney.
trying to schedule that. We're in the midst of trying to schedule a date for that.
That is
with
something
the
I look
designer.
forward to.
Yeah.
Mr. Petty?
Anyone? Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Petty, with this many added vents, does it cause any kind of odor problem within, or?
No.
So-
It's a one-way vent. It's made to go that way. It doesn't go back out there. It just allows air in, same as a kitchen island.
Okay,
If you got your kitchen island, you need a new vent. So
understood.
if it's smelling, because they like, I think mine's 25 years old.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, do I hear a motion to accept the change order 21?
Motion.
Got a motion, do I hear a second? Second. Got a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, we'll now move into Finance Committee. Chairman Hahn, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll call the Finance Committee to order. Do I have anyone that wishes to address the committee at this time?
Denoe, 23.
One second.
Joe Stevens Road.
1 second, Ms. Noy. 1 second, please. She just gotta get the...
I'd like to address item 4B and then 4A. 4B briefly, the walls in the middle schools, the two middle schools that don't have walls. I think they're absolutely needed, but I also know that the school board received $13 million more last year. They received another nearly $5 million, or roughly $5 million this year, and they can pay for their own walls. It's as simple as that. The other item of 4A, it just says Berry Pool Road Superintendent. I'm going to make an assumption, and I'm going to speak on Berry Pool Road Superintendent. I suspect this is about, or it should be, about the finding in the audit regarding false timesheets that were turned in and that Mr. Poole knew were false, and yet he paid sanitation workers for a full day or cumulatively for a full week when they did not work those hours. I've heard all the excuses, all the explanations, and they don't hold water. Either you do things honestly or you don't. You don't get a pass because, oh, this worked out good or worked out well, either one. I could think of lots of things that I could do that would shortcut things or maybe benefit me. But if they're not right, if they're not honorable, if they're fraudulent, if they're false, you don't do it. And that's exactly what happened here. And I would hope that there would be some type of censure at a minimum of Mr. Poole for what he did. He's taken credit, if you want to call it credit or blame, saying he knew about it and he approved it. I'm not blaming the sanitation workers. Evidently, they were told it's okay because the big man, Barry Poole, says it's okay. So I just simply ask that you, at a minimum, censure Mr. Poole for what he did and make sure it does not happen again. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wish to address the committee? I see none. Let's move on. No old business. We'll move down into new business. Item 4A. There he is. Mr. Barry Poole, Road Superintendent.
We sort of talked about it before we started the process of the practice, during COVID, trying to keep the two groups, road employees and garbage, apart so that it promoted their health and welfare, and it kept as many cases as we could down of the COVID virus. We had one employee, a road department employee, die from it, and so we took it very seriously. And we just kept the same process when we kept going because we seen that it worked, that we retained employees better. And so the timesheets were sent over here to the courthouse, because, or like they were, because we wanted them to be consistent with the road department employees, their hours and everything. The usage of vacation and sick time looked the same on everybody's timesheet. And I know that hours worked versus hours shown on the sheets worked the same, but we simply needed to, or we felt like we needed to do it because we didn't want to lose employees like we had before. It seemed to have solved the problem. The garbage employees got a perk. So plain and simple, and I allowed it. And so, you know, you got that notion that all employees are the same. All the county employees are the same. And they are to a certain respect. But the employees of the garbage department face the filth of this county every day, all day long. And the Register of Deeds say employees, they don't face that filth all. They're not subjected to those germs and what could happen to their body day after day. That's what's put in that truck and what their bodies are subject to. And so, you know, I may be the only one in the county that feels this way, but I don't feel like all county employees are the same. And so I did not gain anything from this. I've never, you know, I'm not paid to be administrator over the garbage department. I'm not paid one dime. And believe me, the garbage department can't do anything but hurt you politically. I have never had but maybe one or two occasions where it helped me politically. So, but anyway, I've got a timesheet that I can propose to you that'll solve a problem. But before that, I wanted to make you aware those guys pick up 16,000 carts per week, and they do it in all kinds of weather. They do it subject to when they have to compact the garbage to put it up in the storage area. They could get blasted with oil. They could get blasted with urine. They could get blasted with feces, and they have with all that before. And so they face some things that you know that the other county employees don't. I really don't think this is broke, and I don't see that it needs fixed that bad. We just give you a timesheet or start submitting a timesheet that shows what we ask that they be paid, whether it's a normal paycheck or if we need to add or take away from it, and show the actual hours, and then I think it's fixed. But now you guys have the final decision, and if you change things, if you want them to stay to 4:30 each day, then that's fine. I just want it to be clear that the county commission has said and imposed that rule, and not me. Like I say, I don't want to change a thing. You take 1 hour, those trucks run. Those trucks consume between 3 and 4 gallons of gas. We got 6 trucks, 5 garbage trucks, a recycle truck, a fleet of brush trucks, but I'm just talking about those 6 or 5 garbage trucks and recycle truck. They say you can save $14,000 a year when they run 1 hour less. And plus, there's cost involved with you save, but you know, with regards to the wear and tear of the truck. So there's some savings here. That department's had a free administrator. It's had a free secretary now for 28 years. We don't either one get paid anything for it. And believe me, half our business is garbage. And 80% of the calls is garbage. So I will do exactly as y'all tell me to. I apologize, this has caused a stir, but it's in your hands for a decision.
Chairman,
Yes.
I'll speak up. Just number one, Barry, we know that you've been working on this, and according to our audit that we received, there was no criminal activity found. I think that's duly noted in that. Your time sheet that you submit, I think this commission can take that under advisement and maybe look at that. It's just a thought that I have. I'll let others chime in.
We have any other questions or comments? Mr. Long?
Mr. Poole, when the trucks come in, what time do they usually get on your lot?
Well, I want you to realize something as well. I can give you the average time, because we've taken the data and we know what the average time is, but those guys do not take a lunch. They do not take a morning break or an afternoon break. They go out and they get their 600 garbage carts or whatever the number might be. They come back to the office. At that point in time, if they're on the schedule to wash a truck, then they stay and they wash the truck. It takes a couple hours to wash a truck, so not everybody can wash a truck the same day. But they're normally, the average time is about 2:15. Now, if they took a 30-minute lunch and they were out on their route and they had to go somewhere to get the lunch and eat and then come back, and if they took a break, the lunch hour, the lunch 30 minutes turns into an hour real quick. If they took a break, where are they going to take it? I mean, you might be right in the middle of the subdivision. When you stop and take a break and look like you're enjoying life, you're going to have 20 residents call in and say, look, what are y'all doing? These employees out here ain't doing nothing. Y'all paying them to do nothing. So, taking a break's not really a practical thing either. So you factor in lunch and 2 breaks, and it's easily 3:45 then,
And the landfill cuts off at what time?
3:30.
I just wanted to see what they,
Is that it? Thank you, Mr. Long. Ms. Howell?
I'd be one of those residents who would call, and I remember one time I was late, and I thought, oh my goodness, holidays coming, golly, I need that full container picked up. I always appreciate the garbage men and recycling. But I guess when you look at it as a citizen, and I'm thinking, yeah, what if they did hang around and did wash, or what if 4 guys or 6 guys were washing the truck? I think that's, the concern, the time. If you're right, if there is no Taco Bell in the middle of the subdivision, and so, yet, but anyway.
The McDonald's there, though.
So, I think we understand that, but, I guess it's the look. You're in a tight spot, because if the garbage isn't picked up, oh my golly, or somebody leaves and, it is, but I guess it's the look, is the thing that's, and, how is this guy getting off, or when they come in at 2:15, do they stick around a certain, or when they're done, or how does that work?
Well, if they've got business, if they need to make the maintenance staff aware of something, if they need to help the maintenance staff do something with regards to their truck or something, they do that. But if everything's running properly and everything's okay and they're not on schedule to wash the truck, then they leave.
And there it is, again, that's the, oh my God, you see that guy, he's working to there, and he's leaving there. I think that's the troublesome,
Microphone, Ms. Howell.
oh golly. That's okay. That's the troublesome issue.
But we have to keep in mind also with that these guys are spending an hour or so during the day. So when it looks a lot worse than what it is, I think. And I've always had make work or productive work. And make work it's not good for employee morale. But also at the same time, I can understand the envy nature, the jealousy from others. If you're getting to leave at 2:15, I want to leave at 2:15 and get paid. So it's kind of a conundrum, but I think you do a very good job. And like I said earlier, a couple of months ago, I think our garbage and bulk has just been very well maintained. So we do appreciate that. Anyone else? Mr. Doty.
Got a friend, well, a guy I used to be in the fire department with, don't know if he's still working there or not, Gene Sampson. And it's just something to think about, because Gene told me something once and I was just in disbelief. Said that he had to order special toothpaste that he could swallow instead of having to spit it, because he had no bathroom to go to after he ate his lunch. He ate it driving down the road, and Gene was one of those that brushed his teeth after every meal, but he had to go buy special toothpaste, because they don't even have anywhere to use the bathroom out here. This is what they're doing. They're eating on the road, they're doing, and, yeah, they get their breaks after they come back. And if it's a paid break, you know, if they're leaving a little early, they're leaving a little early. We gotta think about all aspects of it.
Anyone else? Ms. Green?
Mr. Pope, first of all, let me say, I don't lay any of this at your employees' feet. You've got good employees, and I'll be the first to brag on them. They do an outstanding job. But in all fairness, I don't believe in waste, and I believe in ethics. When I worked in a factory with a time clock, what displayed on my time card was what I was there, sir. And I look as far as being fair to all employees, your highway as well as your garbage. So I like to see actual hours worked. So are you telling me that's what it's going to be now, actual hours worked?
Yes, that's the way this, I know I haven't given you a copy yet, but that's what this timesheet does.
Okay. I kindly understand why you did it like you did it. But to be brutally honest, you could have set some of them at 7 o'clock and some of them at 7:30, and they wouldn't been as many there. I worked in a factory 24 years. I'm very familiar with how that works.
We did that. The garbage guy started at 7, and the highway guy started at 7:15.
So I really feel like that it needs to be accurate. I feel like a false report is a false report. I was raised, it's either black or white. And to me, it's not accurate. And I believe in transparency and accuracy, sir. Now, that being said, I have one more question for you, and then I'll leave you in peace. You had attended a meeting back in December where one of your road commissioners, it had been announced by Commissioner Hyde that she had moved out of the district.
Ma'am, you're out of order in this line of questioning. This is sanitation.
Okay, will you give me time later in the meeting to address it with him, sir?
You can address it with his commission. He's not here for that.
Thank you.
He's here for the timesheet.
Anyone? Ms. Howe?
Yes, sir, thank you. If they get in at 2:15 and they have a 30-minute lunch and a 15-minute break, so that gets them out about 3:15, right, or 3-ish? I mean,
Two
if we said
15-minute
that.
breaks.
Say again, sir?
2 15-minute breaks.
Okay, so then you've got an hour.
You can't make it all, I mean, you can't make a lunch happen in an hour.
Oh, no,
They're up on the very east end of the county, and they have to come back somewhere to eat, assuming they don't bring their lunch, and that's
Yeah.
not required.
yeah.
And it's gonna turn into an hour real easy.
Well, what I'm getting at is, thank you, is that if you add that hour in and say, now we know you're supposed to eat lunch and you've got these 2 15-minute breaks, and you know, if you just work on through, then, but that hour hasn't moved. It's there for you. In other words, you're going to get paid for that hour, whether you jump out of Brentwood and go get lunch, or you just keep working until you get in at 2:15, so you could clock out at 3:15, because that hour is yours regardless. Is that sort of a teeny compromise?
Well, I don't fully understand what you.
Well, what I was getting at, everybody, my dad used to say, now, if you make your lunch, here's your allowance. And if you go to school and you buy it, now that was in the dark ages, peanut butter and jelly in a paper bag, but anyway. But if we bought the lunch, then it came out of the money Dad put on the end of the counter. Well, golly, I would go ahead and make my lunch so that I would hang on to that money. That hour that is due that worker is theirs regardless of when they take it.
So they'd rather work through it and get
Yeah,
off earlier.
Exactly.
And then be able to address, they make $13.50 an hour, which is $28,000 a year. If they've got a family of 2, how do you live?
No.
$28,000 a year. So, yeah, a lot of these guys go mow yards and do other jobs.
Right.
And, you know, I know that's, that's not, you say, well, that shouldn't be in the picture here, Barry, but I'm sorry it is, it's life.
Yeah, yes, it is.
And you guys gave him a $2.50 raise not too long ago, and I praise you for that. But it's still $28,000 a year in today's economy. I mean, come on, guys. And you give them an hour off, you know,
Yeah.
they go home an hour early. My goodness.
Anyone else?
Kyle.
No, Mr. Walker.
I think what Barry's trying to explain here, and get me right or wrong, the only difference of them leaving an hour early like that is if they came back, got to the yard, clocked out, took their 15-minute break, that they're paid for, then they took their 30-minute lunch break, then they took another 15 minutes, and then they clocked out and went home.
Yeah,
It's actually the same thing. The only difference is we're telling them, you've got to stay there at the yard for that hour. The only difference is you're letting them leave for that hour. Is that what I'm understanding?
Basically.
Yeah, that's kind of the difference.
Yeah.
It's just the benefit of our other county employees, and I know it from being in the restaurant industry. They'll come into Burger King and they would eat lunch for 30, 45 minutes. They'd come in the morning, get a breakfast for 15, 20 minutes. They're not getting that opportunity.
right.
That's the only difference. And really, if they had to drive to go get the lunch and come back, like Barry said, and I agree, we're probably looking at a longer time, and are they gonna be that more productive when they come back from lunch? Because, let's be honest, I ate lunch and 30 minutes after I ate lunch, I'm full. How am I gonna feel on the back of that trash truck smelling everybody else's lunch and swinging it? So it is a benefit to those.
Ms. Green.
Thank you. Barry, what time do they go to work? And what time, if they work the full, and I'm assuming you're on 8 hours? 8-hour schedule?
We do 4 9-hour days and then a 4-hour day on Friday.
Okay. All right, if they're supposed to get off at 9 hours, what time would that put them off Monday through Thursday?
4:30.
4:30. And they come in at 7. And what time at the time that they did the audit, what time was they leaving?
Whenever they got through with their route and they come back to office.
So
It hadn't changed.
So if it was 12 o'clock, they left at 12, even though they should have worked a 9-hour day?
On Mondays and Fridays, we've got light days because we got the holidays sometime, it's like we're off for Thanksgiving, last Thursday and Friday. Well, we have to pick up a lot of garbage on Monday because it wasn't picked on Thursday and Friday. So we leave Monday and Friday light because we've got the holidays to deal with. So Mondays, they're in by 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Thursday, they may be in by 3:15. It just varies, but to average it out, it's 2:15 every day. So, we had to sort of leave Friday out of the equation. But if the truck's not running, we're saving a lot of money in fuel. The quicker they get done, the more money we save in fuel. I don't like to be, I thought this day might come at some point. And I like to be accurate and truthful too. But they were getting paid like they were supposed to because the timesheet was like the road department employees' timesheets. The payroll had no problem with it. It just sailed right through just like you hoped it would or like it's supposed to. So if we needed to take away from their paycheck, we did, or add to it, we did. With this, we're never going to get to 40 hours. There'd be no overtime. That's another benefit. We're never going to pay any overtime because they don't get to 40 hours. And we get a true look at what those garbage routes are like and how long it takes to do it. And when we get another truck that's automated, we can figure out, this thing may end up we may be able to collect the garbage in 3 days in this county, or 3.5 days. It won't take 5. I guarantee you, when that automated truck comes, it won't take 5 days. It'll be a Monday through Thursday when we get it honed out real quick. Of course, I won't be here, but they're smart enough to do it. Everybody left is going to handle it as well as, or better than me. So we're looking at an altered schedule that's going to save the county money. And we're not out there in that school traffic every day. If we get backed off at 2:15 average, we're not out there in that school traffic, and you know what school traffic hour is versus not.
Yeah.
And so we get them out of the danger of that and out of the, you know, the mix of that too. So I know it's not a true timesheet. It will be now if you want to accept this, but we made it. I think we've made it run smooth.
Can I have one more question, hon?
Sure.
Has the, oh Lord, the one that done the audit, help me out, Mr. Bobby,
Please.
Comptroller's office, have they accepted the sheet that you are presenting?
Yes, ma'am. I emailed it to him. I emailed him 3 options. He looked at those options and then he approved of this. I've got the date. I think it's April 1st. He said, this looks like this would be fine.
You're satisfied with that?
Anyone else? Ms. Howell?
Yes, sir, thank you. What about these new neighborhoods? I mean, they're popping up everywhere. I mean, that's got to be figured in too, I guess, with your,
We see a schedule's getting heavier than what those 5 trucks handle. We've got those extra trucks.
okay,
And the brush truck drivers will pitch in and help with those heavier days.
okay.
But we haven't got to that point where we're having to alter anything because a new area of the county's grown up, you know.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Poole? Be well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4B, 1, financing for middle school walls, a resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds of Hamblen County, Tennessee, in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $13,500,000. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, in your packet is a bond resolution for the issuance of $13.5 million for the middle school wall project that was discussed at the budget meeting on Saturday in May. I think the school board made their pitch for that project, and so we've got to, this summer, we've got to issue bonds for the landfill expansion, which you have already approved. This resolution's before you today to, what the plan would be is the $6.5 million for the landfill. You would have that plus $3.5 million for the school system would be issued in the same bond issue this summer. And so that would be the schedule. And then next year during 2025 would be the other $10 million if you want to finance that project. The school board is going to address and I think formally request the money tomorrow night at their board meeting. So to get the process going for issuance, we had to address that this month as far as the bond resolution goes for the landfill or for the school system. So what this is bond resolution for $13.5 million for the middle school wall project is what this is.
Do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Doty, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Harville, thank you very much. Any questions for the mayor? Ms. Howell?
Thank you, sir. Was that the 4 schools or 2? I'm trying to go back to 2, okay.
Meadowview and Lincoln.
Okay, and you know, Ms. Noe brought it up, and I have to wonder too, you know, 13 million floated down in there, and you know, I guess they used it for other stuff, or Yeah.
I'm not sure what money she's talking about. I know there's, they budget a lot of their overage the next year for capital projects, for repairs to buildings, for alarm systems, there've been years they've put playgrounds in, put things to improve the
Okay.
buildings.
All righty, so we're looking at the, what was the 6.5 million?
That's the landfill expansion.
Okay. All right. Thank you
Mr.
for-
Long?
Mr. Mayor, you're saying 3.5 million for the schools, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so would they start before we do the 1 in 25? The other bond issue?
Good question.
But like
So if we started and something was to happen, how would we handle that?
I don't know, honestly. Let's say if, let's say we issued the 3.5 million, and what we do is the bonds are issued, we hold the money, and then we take requests from the agencies, like the school system, the landfill, and then they request money, then we send it to them to make their payments. Or we make the bond payments, they reimburse us. That's what it is. If they change their mind, is that kind of, or if they'll go a different direction, or,
What I was saying, if you started construction, and then if in 25 we didn't do the bonds, all of it, if something happened and we couldn't, what happens?
I see
Is
what you're
3.5 million enough to do one of them?
I see what you're saying. I mean, the reason we're breaking it up this way is to get a better interest rate. And
I understand that,
Okay.
I just wanted that.
that's, instead of doing it all at one time, we're breaking it up to get a better interest rate.
Anyone else? Mr. Walker?
Now, if I understood you right, the school's gonna pay us back for this bond.
No,
They're not.
no.
So
no,
is the city contributing anything to this?
No, the school system is the county's responsibility. Now, right now, in the school system's budget, and it's been this way for 25 years, and this was a requirement. It was part of negotiation back in the 2000s when we built what is now East Ridge and Westview, is the school system gave the debt service fund $500,000 to help to apply to those payments. In my negotiation with Director Bunch, is that would continue. It would stop. This would be the last year under the current debt structure. The $500,000 payment by the school system would stop after this year. But if we do this, then their agreement is that would continue, the $500,000 would continue to debt service to help make the payment on these.
For how long?
Till, it'd be a 20-year bond issue.
Anyone else? Okay, do I have a motion?
You've got a motion.
We had one.
Oh, we do, thank you. I am so sorry.
You're good.
Okay, well, let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4C, a contract for consulting brokerage services between Hamblen County Government and Mark III Brokerage Incorporated. Mr. Mayor.
We went through an RFP process for health insurance, consulting services, and other employee benefits. And so Mark III was awarded, you awarded them the business, I think it was in May, and then this is the contract that, coming back to present you for that. It's $30,000 a year, which is slightly less than what we've been paying, and then they would receive the commissions on any optional benefits, like cancer policies, whole life insurance, disabilities, and that's routine in the industry. So I'm asking for approval of this contract.
Have a motion? Mr. Richardson, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Harville, thank you. Do you have any questions? Let's take a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4D, Employee Health Clinic lease renewal. Mr. Mayor?
In your packet is an amendment number 4 to our lease for the employee health clinic space in what we call the straight building on West Andrew Johnson Highway, 1748 West Andrew Johnson Highway. This is a 3-year lease extension for $1,850 a month. It is an increase of about $200 a month, and it's the first increase we've had in 10 years. So, but this is a 3-year extension.
Have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Harville, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Doty, thank you very much. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Howe?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Are they gonna be into the, are they gonna move into the, oak tree thing?
No,
Ah, okay.
that didn't work out.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Well, anyone else? Mr. Wildman?
Now, we had talked about moving this into the health department, did we not at one time?
Well, see the Oak Tree Plaza. There's a shop
Right.
But that didn't work out. The city didn't want to do it, and because this location's,
Does the city pay any of this lease?
yes, they pay half of it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Let's take a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4E, the Kroger National Opioid Settlement. Mr. Mayor?
This is the latest national opioid lawsuit settlement is with Kroger pharmacies and the Kroger grocery store chain. Although we don't have any Kroger stores in Hamblen County, we are able to participate through the state of Tennessee in this settlement, but we have to opt in. And so what I'm asking is for permission to sign the documents so that we will participate through the state of Tennessee in this settlement.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Long, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Richardson, thank you. Any questions? Mr. Doty?
Who is taking the action? Which legal firm or legal
This is the
entity?
state of Tennessee.
Gonna be the state.
It's through the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
What is our upside on this?
We'll receive more funding that will go into the opioid.
Any idea how much? No.
No, there's percentages in here, but no.
Anyone else?
I have one question,
Ms.
sir.
Green?
I'm not on this committee. Do we have a cost associated with this?
It doesn't cost us anything.
Thank you.
It's through the state.
Thank you.
Bobby, I got a question.
Mr. Neesmith?
You said we'll join in on the state program. In other words,
Yes.
although we don't have a Kroger in Hamblen County, we'll be getting benefits from the state, which
Yes.
will be taken away from other counties.
I don't know that it would be taken away. There's a formula, in all these settlements, there's a formula of the distribution of the settlements. And in the paperwork that is in your packet, there's a percentage amount that Hamblen County would receive. And it's based on different, I guess, statistics on opioid sales, opioid overdoses, different impacts that opioid abuse has had on Hamblen County through about a 10, 12-year period.
So this is a little different from the other opioid things we've got, because we've got other drugstores.
No, it's about the same. I think the formulas are the same. The only difference, Wayne, in my opinion, is that we don't have a Kroger store here, but we're still participating. And we're not getting any of the proceeds directly like, and it's all going through the state. And some of the, I think, some of the counties that have Kroger stores in them will receive direct payments from the settlement, but we will not.
So they could be other counties, like Jefferson County. I don't think they got a Kroger.
Knox County's got Kroger's, so.
Yeah, so you
Anyone else?
off of them.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4F, Hampton County vehicle to Soil Conservation District.
Mr. Chairman, we've been fortunate to replace vehicles in the assessor's office and in our community service program with newer vehicles this budget year. And so we have two vehicles. They're 2013 Chevrolet Impalas that we have available, or we have that are not in service. And so the Soil and Water Conservation District had asked me a month or two ago if we ever come up on any spare vehicles, that they need one for their field representative. And that goes out to the farms and works with the farmers on their projects that they work with the farmers on. And so what this request is one, is the Chevrolet Impala that is being taken out of service for community service be declared surplus property. That'd be first. That'd be the first vote. The second vote would be to gift it to the Soil and Conservation District for use by their field representative. So that's the request and my recommendation.
Have a motion.
I'll make that motion, sir.
Mr. Cutshaw, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Doty, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if we could do, first thing would be to declare the vehicle surplus.
Right.
I'll amend my
vote, and then
motion,
another.
sir, to do just that. The first one, that we surplus the vehicle.
All right, we're gonna surplus the vehicle first.
Second.
Second, Mr. Doty. Do we have any questions on, let's stay with just surplusing the vehicle first. I will take that vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passes. Our second vote will be to gift this vehicle to the Soil Conservation District. Anyone have any questions or comments on that? We'll take the vote. All in favor signify by saying
We
aye.
need the motion and second on that one.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. We do need a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Doty, do we have a second? Mr. Cutshaw? Now then, let's vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstain because I serve on that board.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Motion does pass. Item 4G, bid tabulation, 2024-03, JMS RMS New Justice Center. Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Chairman, G, H, and I, let's see, G, H, and I are all software-related services that we opened bids on last Thursday for the jail. And we do not have recommendations at this time because we're still evaluating the proposals. But we will have, the reason they're on the agenda and on your calendar for the county commission meeting is that we will have recommendations for the county commission meeting. So G, H, and I, we do not have a presentation at this time. There were multiple vendors that proposed in all three of those, and we'll discuss that on commission day. Now, item J for the metal lockers and benches, we had two vendors submit on those. These are metal lockers for the workhouse locker room and for the corrections officers locker room in the new Justice Center. And the low bid is submitted by Business Systems and Consultants, BSC, at $28,892.63. We recommend that be awarded.
Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Mr. Reed, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Harville, thank you. Any questions for the mayor?
One question, just for clarification, this budget is the FF&E?
Correct.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 4K, Hamblen County Department of Education, Budget Amendment Number 9, increase of $17,670. Tracy Antrican, Supervisor of Business for Hamblen County Department of Education.
This budget amendment has two parts. The increase of $17,670 is additional tutoring that we did throughout the 23-24 school year that will be reimbursed by the Noswalker Foundation. So, no additional money from the county, but additional money for grant funding. The second part, we had received grant funds for the Tennessee Arts Commission grant for supplies and materials and professional development for schools. They had $926 left in professional development that we're requesting to move to supplies and materials so that they can fully expend that grant on supplies.
Okay, we'll separate that. The first was,
Tutoring,
I'm sorry?
tutoring.
Tutoring, yes. For the tutoring,
What was the exact amount on that, Ms. Antrican?
$17,670.
That was the tutoring?
That's the tutoring, yes.
Yes.
is that what you meant?
It is.
We're good. Okay. For the tutoring, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Richardson, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Richardson is not on this committee. Oh, yes, he is. There he is.
Oh, I might not be.
They put you at the bottom for. Thank you, Mr. Richardson. The second, Mr. Harville. Any questions for Ms. Antrican? And this is just a wash, right? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And would you go over that second one again for me, please?
We had a grant with the Tennessee Arts Commission for professional development and art supplies for the schools in conjunction with HC Excel that helped with the match on that grant. They had $926.20 left in professional development that we would like to request be moved to supplies.
That's very good.
So that they could use that to purchase art supplies for elementary schools.
Thank you. Any motion on that?
So moved.
Okay.
Let's take that
There's a
amount
second.
down.
I'll second.
What was that amount again, Tracy?
92620.
Yes. 92620. We have a motion, Mr. Harville, second, Mr. Doty. Any questions on this? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item,
One second.
Yes, sir.
Just to clarify, we've got one thing, the increase on the school is showing a net increase of 17,670, which that's a wash. But the other amount,
So the $926.20, the $17,670
yes,
was additional grant funding from the Noswalker.
right, got it?
$926.20 was just moving from one line item to another.
Okay, so there's no net increase? No. Thank you.
Overall, for the total amendment, $17,670, it was correct on the agenda.
Got you. I understand. Thank you, Tracy, for clearing that up. Thank you.
thank you, Ms. Antrim.
Thank you, Chairman.
I will move to item 4K2, Fund 101, multiple categories, $287,420. Ms. Hale.
So this budget amendment is for several offices within the general fund. It is an end-of-year cleanup, just moving money. Most of the departments have enough in other lines to take care of shortages in some lines. If you get on down into here, you might notice like a few offices don't. For example, general sessions. The state ordered mid-year raises for the judges, so there was no extra money in their budget to take those funds from. But I was able to move enough money out of the guard lines and medical insurance from the jail to cover all the difference. So there is no change in fund balance. It will wash out in the general fund. It cleans everything up for the end of the year and just assures that none of the departments are overspent.
Do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Doty, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Reed, thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Hale?
I have, yes, sir.
Ms. Hale?
Yes, sir. So when I was going through the expense, I don't even know if it's in that, you just tell me. There was other, 91140, other capital projects, is that in another to-do? 91140, other capital projects.
On the agenda,
Oh, no, it's not, no, I wrote it on this. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I just noticed it in the expense column, in the expenses, and I thought, oh, well.
It's not on there.
So it's not on that, okay.
I'm
That's-
asking you, it's not, you're asking us.
No, I just was going through, yeah, I needed to catch her before the meeting. I'll catch you later on that. Okay.
If we come across it, I'm just, I don't see it right now.
Then not to worry. I'll ask you about it. Thank you, sir.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Let's take a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4K3, Fund 101, multiple categories, transfer from reserved funds, $8,365.
So I've grouped these two budget amendments together because it's where offices have asked to move money from their restricted funds to cover purchases. One of them being the property assessor's office is asked to move money from his restricted funds to purchase 2 new iPads. And then in the county clerk's office, they are moving money from their restricted funds to purchase a new PC. But I've grouped them together to try to cut down on budget amendments.
We do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Long, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Harville. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Hale? Let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4K4, Fund 101, recognition of grant and other revenues, $642,468.
So again, I've grouped these together because they are all offset by grant funds we receive. Most of them to do with the ELC grant and BCIF grant that the sheriff's office obtained this year. The very first one there listed though is other public safety, and that's for the Homeland Security grant that Director Bell gets each year. Again, we're just recognizing revenue that wasn't budgeted and then the offsetting expense. The only one that actually impacted fund balance is the very last one, and that is where Cherokee Park just recently sold a golf cart and a side-by-side. And the difference in what those two items sold for and the new golf cart they're purchasing is $698, and so that will be coming out of fund balance.
Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Doty, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cutshaw, thank you very much. Any questions? Let's vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Go down to item 4K5, Fund 116, Solid Waste Sanitation Fund, $36,000.
Excuse me, again, this is an end-of-year budget amendment. The sanitation fund had an employee classified as a truck driver, and in the budget, I had them classified as an equipment operator. So this corrects that and then moves some additional funds for trustee commission and uniforms to cover expenses through the end of the year.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Cutshaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Long, thank you very much. Any questions? We'll vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4K6, Fund 122, Drug Control Fund, $1,138.
This recognizes some grant funds that we received from the VCIF grant to the sheriff's office, but the offsetting expense here was for narcotics purchase, so that's why it's on Fund 122 versus some of the others we just approved.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Harville, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Reed?
Mr. Reed, thank you, sir. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4K7, Fund 128, Drug Use Abatement Fund, $37,350.
So during this fiscal year, the commission voted to approve the appropriation to the Hamblen County Substance Abuse Coalition for a skate night. And then you also voted to cover the roof and HVAC costs for the third judicial recovery group, and then it has the reward house. So all that was approved, but I didn't budget it, so for end of year, I need to make this entry to budget it.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Doughty, a second?
Second.
Mr. Richardson, thank you, sir. Any questions? We'll vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4K8, Fund 131, Highway Department Fund, $8,000.
These are two items in the highway department that will need money for the end of the year. Barry has hired a part-time employee to replace what was a full-time employee, and he will be more seasonal. And again, this is the salary to get us through the end of the year, and then additional $2,000 for other charges. But no increase or decrease in fund balance.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Long, thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Howell? Yes, I'm sorry. Any questions? Okay, let's vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4K9, Fund 151, General Debt Service, Fund $40,000.
This amendment just reclassifies the expense occurred for the principal on some of our loans. I had it put into line 601, and it should have been 612. So this amendment just corrects that allocation.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Cutshaw with the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Howell, thank you very much. Any questions? Vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4K10, Fund 154, Special Debt Service, $858,814.
So, county audit asked us to move all the debt associated with the landfill into this special debt service fund, 154. And with that is this amendment that recognizes the expense and revenue for all of the bonds, the bond and the note proceeds that we have for the landfill. So, every principal and interest payment that we've made, the landfill has reimbursed us for it. This is a wash, but I just need to budget it into the appropriate categories.
Thank you. We need a motion? Motion. Mr. Reed, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Harville? Any questions?
I have one point of comment,
Yes,
Chairman. Just to everyone out there that picked up an agenda today, this item was added, and the commissioners got this addition, but if you picked up an agenda at the rear of the room, this item may have failed to make it to that. Just to clarify, this item is in front of the commissioners, and it will be made available to the public. Just need that to be clarified.
It may have been on the agenda, but just for a different amount.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Because I did have to change the amount today.
okay, all right.
Have any other questions or comments? Let's vote to motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4K11, Fund 176, Highway Capital Projects Fund, $180,000.
During the budget meeting, Mayor Britton presented with you all the request that Barry had to purchase a new dump truck for the highway department. And it was approved during the budget. I think it was voted on during budget, to purchase this dump truck out of this fiscal year. So in order to do that, the funds need to be appropriated. And that's what this amendment is for. You all to approve this and for the purchase of the dump truck.
Need a motion?
Yes, sir, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Cutchild. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, Mr. Long. Any questions? Let's vote to motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Point of privilege, just a moment. Commissioner Green, I wanted to tell you that I think you were going with questioning about the road commission. You may want to direct that to the road commission, and Barry doesn't have control, or Superintendent Poole doesn't have authority over the road commission. So your question should be directed to the chairman of that commission, I do believe.
May I answer your question, answer your comment, sir?
Go ahead.
I addressed that the last road commission meeting.
Yes.
I was told point blank that he had no control whatsoever, even though the minutes said that that road commissioner moved in December of '23. And that she had basically moved out of her district, which meant she shouldn't have been qualified. But she kept attending and kept being paid, but I was told by him point blank that they didn't have any control over that, even though that was money Hamblen County citizens had paid.
Well, I've heard different information, but we'll try to work on that, because if she's not valid and CTAS has a ruling on that if she has vacated her position, she should not be paid. That's most definite. And I was under the impression she was not being paid. So we'll have to clarify your point.
Well, according to the payroll records I received in my record request,
Yes.
she was paid, sir.
How long?
It was the first part, at least through the first part of this year.
What's the first part of this year? We're at month 6.
January, February.
Okay, all right.
I'm pretty
Well,
sure.
I'm just checking, because I've received information she is not being paid. We will clarify this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Again, I think your point needs to be taken to the road commission, and if they petition or ask this commission to take up an item, then yes, we can. Okay? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I just don't feel like taxpayer money ought to be.
Well, I agree. I wholeheartely agree.
Sold
She
out.
should not be paid if she's not serving. So just to clear that up, I thought that's where you were going, but I feel the road commission is where it needs to be addressed, and then that chairman can bring that to us. This commissioner is gone, the position is vacant.
My understanding from the letter from Mayor Britton, that he did ask her to resign, but I hadn't heard anything past that one, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Just
No,
wanted to clear that.
thank you.
Yep. All right, we've got that. Let's move now to Personnel Committee. Thank you. Chairman Doty, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call the Personnel Committee meeting to order. Anyone wishing to address this committee may do so now. Seeing none. Old business, we have none. New business, item 4A, we have the approval of education pay submissions. We have one employee. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Horner,
Second.
second, Mr. Walker. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4B is approval of the longevity pay submissions. Again, we have one employee. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Ahern, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion on this one? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty. We now move into the Public Services Committee. Chairman Richardson, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Call the Public Services Committee to order. Anyone visitor wishing to address the committee about agenda items only can do so at this time. You have 3 minutes.
Take the lead from General Commission. I'd just like to comment on the woman last month that talked about the music, where her neighborhood was, and she says you don't have to go through all these other type noises, you know, basically just go to music or bands or whatever that source is. And you can go basically just generic type of nuisance type thing, you know, where it bothers somebody in their home or just disturbing the peace. You know, the music travels 50, 7,500 feet from the source and it penetrates your house, then that should be a violation. You don't have to go through all kind of decibel readings and meters and everything else. We can make something more generic of that nature. And I would trust deputies when they get called out, because when I did call, they said they can hear it from my front door, 557 feet away from the places that I've sympathized with you, and I says, and I'm glad I'm not living here, there's nothing I can do. Because those are the type of things that we could do. We don't have to put decibel meters and decibel readings and everything else. We can put something more general. Appreciate it. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you.
Good night.
Anybody else? Okay, at this time, we'll go to old business 3A. There's none. New business item 4A, resolution 24, a resolution to amend the zoning map of Hamblen County, Tennessee by rezoning District 04, tax map 051, parcel 056.00, 4656 Olo Land Road, Morristown, Tennessee 37813, from A1 to I1, City of Morristown. Planner Josh Cole.
Yes, sir, as you just stated, staff did receive a request from Mr. Seth Ewing to rezone 4357 Old Lowland Pike from A1 to I1, their industrial district, your all's industrial district. The reason given for the request is to place an office and a shop for his construction business, English Mountain Construction. This parcel is located at the northwestern intersection of Highway 160 and Interstate 81. It's currently vacant, contains right at 4.5 acres. It does have exit 12 of 81 immediately to the south. Residential uses to the north and west zoned A1. There is a gas station across 160 zoned A1 and additional C1 zoning. However, if you go on the other side of 81, there are multiple industrial and commercial uses. Due to the location of this property being adjacent to the interstate, multiple uses, similar intensity along this corridor, staff does recommend approval. And the Regional Planning Commission did vote last month also in support of this request.
Thank you. Have a form of a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Ahern, and a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hahn. Any questions for Mr. Cole?
yes, sir, Mr.
He's going I-1 instead of commercial. What's he planning on getting some kind of industry in there?
Mainly, well, he initially asked for C1, but given, I mean, he may do some fabrication within the shop and stuff. It could lead to some industrial uses there within just for his construction business. We did the same thing, just a little bit south of there for MB&R contractors, Mr. Rich's company, or he's one of the partners. We did it so we wanted to be consistent because he has a shop in his office. So it sounded like it's a consistent type of use as his, so.
So he could got by with C1, but he's wanting to go I-1 in case he wants to do
Yeah, exactly.
something else in there.
Yeah, if in case it, involves, his construction business, he gets more into fabricating on site, and that way he doesn't have to revisit this down the road.
That's in urban growth, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you.
If you're driving on Inca Highway, you'll notice they've cleared off quite a bit there right before you get to exit 12, and it's that property.
Any other questions? Call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by like sign. Motion carries. Item 4B, surplus items for county court clerk. Peggy Henderson. It looks like there's some printers and monitors to surplus. I put that in the form of a motion?
No,
Can we-
wait,
Can
hold
we
on,
have a
hold on.
motion? I'm sorry.
I make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Walker, we have a second. It's Mr. Long. Any discussion? All in favor of the vote, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Okay, item 4C, noise discussion. And this is a discussion item for the commission. So I'll start off with what I have gone back and looked at. In May 18th of '23, we made a resolution and signed it. And basically, the last part of this resolution says disruption of quiet enjoyment for non-compliant offenders may constitute a legal nuisance and can be reported to law enforcement for legal action. And I think this may go with Dan's request of a vague, non-decibel reading. It looks to me like the complainant would call the sheriff's department, and the complainant would have to be willing to ask for a violation citation and be willing to go to court with that. Is that correct? Okay. So the next part of the discussion after that would be go to the county attorney and get a definition if it's a criminal or civil, and I think would be considered a criminal.
If we issue a citation, it would be
Criminal, okay. So, and then it would go to the criminal court for a hearing. That's in my opinion, that's what we have kind of said in this resolution. Now, I'm open for questions and/or comments. Yes, sir.
By doing this, you're passing the buck on to the people that live there to take care of it themselves, to get a hold of our sheriff's department. We're
They'd
not,
have to do that anyway.
we're not saying music can't be so loud. We're not setting the decimal meters on this music.
Correct. In this, it just basically would have to be offensive to whomever calls the sheriff's department.
Okay, if he goes along this route and calls the sheriff's department, has the sheriff got something to tell him it's too loud, or has he got a number to look at?
Not that I'm aware of. The sheriff does not have any meters.
You know, I brought this up 3 or 4 times about what one of our sister towns is doing in Danridge. They've got a sound noise so much within 50 foot of an amplifier. That would give the sheriff something to go with. Right now, the sheriff don't know. He don't know how loud it's gonna be. I mean, he can tell if it's loud, but he don't know if it's too loud from where these people live up there.
We
I think you're just dropping it all on the citizen myself. To take care of the county's noise problem.
We also have, in your packet there, we had a resolution that was passed on September of 2003 that basically gives some definition to nuisances, and so that's been in effect since 2003.
I've read this. I don't see anything in there about the noise level.
No, there's
So
nothing
we've
that
got
addresses the
same
noise
thing.
level.
We're doing the same thing they did in 2000, 2010, 2004. We're doing exactly the same thing they did then. But this noise is not getting resolved down where that man lives.
I think from what I've talked to the city, the county, the judges, is that somebody's going to have to be willing to get a lawsuit against, or a citation, and be willing to go to court with these people.
That's what-
Specifically,
That's
the
why
one
I
on the
said
west
he's
end
gonna
of
have to
town.
take care of his own business.
Well,
Mr. Chairman, oh, sorry.
Just a minute, Ms.
no, you go ahead.
Question,
Stay here.
and it may be in here and I didn't read it. If, let's say, John Doe calls the sheriff and there's a citation given, is John Doe responsible for the court costs when he goes to court to get this resolved?
I don't think so. I think it would be,
The complaint would be.
Sure.
complainant would just show up at court and complain.
Okay, I have a
Okay,
question.
Ms. Howe?
Yes, sir. This puts the onus on the person who lives in where the noise is occurring, but it doesn't direct anything to the guy who's allowing the noise to happen. The worst thing when in the dark of night is to make the call and the baby's crying and then for the sheriff to say, or somebody to say, I can't do anything about it. We need the something about it for the citizen and the sheriff, but we have nothing that says, look, you rascal who, oh my gosh, it's 11 o'clock. All noise should cease. And it used to be that, we didn't want the alcohol stores to sell near schools and churches, and it was distance. It was never, oh my gosh, he walked out with 3 barrels, he walked out with 2 huge, no, it wasn't the amount, it was the fact that it was there. It was within the vicinity. And I would like to say we need something in the vicinity. If you're in a neighborhood, you as a business owner cannot go out there and if it goes 1,000 yards, you're in big trouble. And the trouble is that the citizen has to react and the business is going, oh, I didn't know that. Well, let me tell you, if we do this, it better say this is what the citizen can do and this is what the business ought to do, and no grandfathering. This is major disturbing of the peace, and we should be able to fix it. Thank you.
Mr. Hahn?
What is, for the offender? If you can answer
Yeah.
this, maybe the sheriff can answer it, but for the offender, what's worst-case scenario as we stand right now? We take him to court. He stands before the judge. Judge says, oh, you're guilty.
I can't speak for the judge, it's probably a fine,
Of what amount?
whatever.
But it's not backbreaking, is it, would you say? So we're talking about the cost of doing business with the money they bring in, paying a fine, and it doesn't escalate. The fine doesn't escalate, it's just $50 every time. Well, they'll gladly pay that. I think Mr. Neesmith, I agree with you here, it's time we put some teeth into this. It's time that we say, you cannot disturb the citizenry of this county, you know, for your own gratification. It's real, to me, it's real simple. We've talked about this, we've kicked it down the road, and we've got this man that's loyal coming up here. I've been down there at 11:30 at night, driving through by your house, and it is, if you haven't, you should. Go down there some Saturday night and just drive through there. It'll rattle your car windows. And we've talked about this, we've kicked it down the road. I don't know what our reach is, but it's time, right now,
Yep.
it's time that we put some teeth into this. And, you know, I'm not trying to take away a guy making a living. This is getting ridiculous. This is pushing the boundaries, you know? And we let it go, we let it go, we let it go. Out of sight, out of mind, or in this case, out of ear, we don't pay attention to it. I think it's time that this commission takes a stand on this, and we get something in the works, that when the sheriff, the deputies get called down there, they've got some teeth. They can go in there and say, this is, you can't do this, this is a violation of the law, and under the threat of shutting them down. You know, we find somebody selling alcohol past certain hours,
Yep.
you know, there's gonna be repercussions. I think it's time. You know, we keep saying we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, but I truly think it's time that this body takes a stand.
Call on the
Ki-
attorney. Call on the attorney.
Thank you, Bobby.
Call on the attorney.
Call on the attorney.
Give a-
Okay, and then,
Hang on
We
just a
can't,
second.
we can't. I'm sorry, ma'am.
While they're talking, Mike, if I could,
yeah,
you know, I've been reading this and going through, and it states back here on about the fifth or sixth page, right here at the bottom, said in 2002 and 3 that the state legislature, under TCA, provided that penalties for violation could be up to $500 per violation. Then it has a word, however. And you go through, and it said the state Supreme Court has said that municipalities cannot exceed a fine of $50.
Yeah, that's why I wanted
Unless
the
it goes to
attorney.
a jury trial.
That's why I wanted
So-
the attorney to.
We need teeth, but what teeth can we put?
well, go ahead.
Mr. Long?
I think you need to look at page 4, 5 at the bottom. I agree with Mr. Holmes, we need to do something, but I think that last paragraph sums it up pretty good when you read that last paragraph.
The ones about the laws passed in
It
2002.
says, while the new laws, down under it, the last paragraph, says, even though the laws are expanded for the county government, if you'll read on, it really cautions us of what we need to do, and I think the county attorney, it even says the county attorney needs to be involved.
Yeah, this is only a discussion tonight. There's not a vote or a decision going to be made tonight. That's for clarification. Now, Ms. Green,
Thank you. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Surely to God, there's some county around here that has a noise ordinance that we can go by that will adhere to the law and put teeth in it. Our Hamblen County Sheriff's Department doesn't have a leg to stand on, and I apologize to you. But we need to give them something that they can work with. It's not fair to cripple them. but these folks deserve something to be done. This has went for 2 years, and it's way too long. We should have done stepped up, folks.
Chairman, go ahead, address this. No, we can't allow the,
Here. Yeah, this,
I'm sorry. This is for the attorney.
Caps, would you like to comment on anything? Please.
I think I have made my feelings known about this several times.
Can you restate that, please?
Well, at the risk of being offensive to others, there is a remedy for this noise.
Okay.
And it doesn't necessarily involve this body adopting an ordinance that is going to affect 2 or 3 problem areas that we seem to have continually. But as I say, I don't want to offend folks who have to continually live with this. But I have recommended, and I still recommend, that these folks hire an attorney and get the situation taken care of in court on their own. Now, that may be too much to ask of some people. They
It's
may
too
not have the
much.
financial means. So, for example, a subdivision can pitch in to do what one person might not be able to do regarding this. And I'm speaking specifically to the Red Barn or whatever you want to call that out there, the venue. That's a continuing problem. I guarantee you that they will take heed of a suit for several $1 million for maintaining the nuisance and the sound level out there, more so than a $50 fine from this body on a continuing basis. And it's not my decision, it's just my feeling. And my feeling is that we have problems that can be dealt with without necessarily this body having to adopt an ordinance to do that. But if this body feels it's necessary for the future, and more so than just the 3 or 4 issues that we seem to have on a regular basis, then by all means. And this is a political football thing here. I know that. And people, and there are other footballs coming up, so get ready. But it's just killing a gnat with an elephant's gun as far as I'm concerned, but I don't have to live with it every weekend. And I don't intend to, I don't mean to offend anyone who's living with it. But this courtroom, the chancellor that sits right where you do, has the ability to enjoin this noise. Circuit court with a jury has the ability to award damages to these families whose children can't sleep and can't study and have emotional issues because of this thing. But that's got to be done by our citizenry to do that for themselves. This body can't do that. So,
Mr. Chairman, let Ms. Howe go ahead.
Ms. Howe.
Does this body have the ability to say, because that might take care of that barn or that venue, and now we've got this venue, and so we do all of that. Could we not say, oh, you want to have a venue, well, lovely, here are the rules for the venue. Oh, yeah, it does say at 11 o'clock, yeah, and it does say, now, if you don't want this venue, you don't sign it, you don't have a permit.
I think that would be a heck of a lot more enforceable than what we've been discussing.
Well, golly, okay.
Now, how that is done exactly, I can't tell you. It's a zoning issue or a permit issue that we have to address with planning, it would seem to me.
Okay.
That would have to be done if you're going to have a venue, you know, and that may or may not be possible. I'm not saying it is, but I think that would be a better course. That's just my opinion.
Well, I think it would say, if you want to have a venue in Hamblen County, oh my golly, make sure you read the fine print. Because right now, we just say you're more than welcome. If you cannot carry on a conversation, if the sheriff has to go out there and say, hey, well, then we know they're too loud. But we don't have a cutoff, we don't have a,
Don't have any.
so, can we take it to planning and say, goodness gracious?
We can look at, I think you can look at that, and I think you need to check with CTAS to see if there's some things that planning can do, or that this body can do with regard to having a venue. We really haven't done a whole lot in that area, in this county, with researching it. We're trying to figure out what rules might be placed on it, and I don't know yet.
And we could probably say, oh, no, there is no grandfathering in. It's immediate, it's now. Okay.
Mr. Cutchall?
I was just gonna point out, it's a new avenue that Commissioner Howell just brought up that we could study on. But the point is, what the attorney just suggested, all we have is the capability of $50.
Correct.
Yes.
You know, and they could continually do that. And then if we were to maintain a decibel meter or someone that could read that meter, the cost that would come to this county for a $50 fine. You know, it's like the cost is not gonna,
And Chairman, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that.
yes,
Don't
I
get me
understand.
wrong. I think that something very simple and enforceable is what this body needs. And so far, and Mr. Richardson, I know has worked himself to death on this, because I can tell, and I can tell that it's bothering, the whole situation bothers him, and it bothers everybody.
Yes, sir.
But I think you just need to get something very simple if you're gonna pass an ordinance, but also folks need to help themselves.
Right.
And I know it may be expensive, and it may be, well, I'm not gonna make any political comment. I'm gonna sit down and
Mr. Green. No, Ms. Green, go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, folks, I've listened to our audio. Anytime someone's speaking, it would be very helpful if they would come up to the microphone. Because when somebody plays this tape, they want to hear what's said. That's the first thing. Second thing, we need something that works. And no, I don't think it should be left the responsibility of the taxpayers to have to foot that bill. Because the folks in District 14, most of them could not afford this. They don't have extra money. Most of them draw Social Security and they're on a limited income basis. But that doesn't mean they should have to suffer because they don't have the extra money to take them to court. We are a legislative body. We need to grow a set and do the right thing. This is one time I agree with Bobby Hunt.
Mr. Doe?
Don't pass out, Bobby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We need a break.
This is kind of a
Tell me about
kind of a two-part thing, but it's just going back just to reaffirm, Alaska Sheriff and our county attorney. No matter what we say or what we do we have any teeth past a $50 fine? This body?
Not right now, and I don't think we can.
According to the,
No matter what we said, we can't tell them, you have to shut down because the county commission said so.
You can shut them down if this court determines it to be a nuisance. You've heard of places being
Yes.
padlocked?
Yes,
That can happen.
but I'm talking about just to go out and say, you know, that we can do that, but as far as putting a ordinance in for the noise, they have no leg to stand on unless we step up and just say, that's it. And I think the city has done it a couple times with, I think the club used to be called the Metro. And they said that it was a constant nuisance.
I talked with the city and they have a problem enforcing this as well. Just so you know, I've looked at, we're talking about costs. If we hire a minimum payroll person to do this with benefits, based on 2,080 hours a year, we're talking about almost $42,000 a year just for a person. And then you got some fuel and a vehicle, get some tools. That meter can run as low as $900. A meter that, you know, you can go on Amazon and look at this stuff. A meter that you can take to court with recordings and it's logs everything could be $5,000 to $6,000. Then you have training and all this. So it's not a simple task just to say, okay, 50 decibels, and that's it. So I just, you know, and that's only one person for an 8-hour shift. You know, if you know, what shift are they gonna work? They're gonna have, you know, have to have 2 or 3 people involved in this thing, and weekend shifts. So, I mean, it could grow to a big part of the county's budget for a $50 fine. So, and there's not a real easy, good answer, but we have, going back to the easy part, in May 18 of 23, disruption of quiet enjoyment from non-compliant offenders may constitute a legal nuisance and can be reported to law enforcement for legal action. That's the simplest and easiest way to get this resolved. And doesn't require them hiring an attorney if they just take it as a violation, but it's only $50 at that point.
They won't get it.
But to get some real teeth, it's gonna take something bigger than that.
One thing, Mr. Chairman, CTAS says this is a civil in nature, not criminal, is
Yes.
that correct?
That's,
What,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, thank you.
We're just ordered conduct charge, which is 3917-305, then potentially could use the criminal disorder conduct statute. That is involves the sheriff department to a greater degree than it does. I guess there's a possibility of trying to shut a place down through court action, but I'm not sure that any place that we talk about is really under the law going to qualify to be shut down like the things you see in other counties, hotel establishments where they're had stabbings, shootings, and drug dealing. I doubt very seriously about places that qualify for anything like that.
When I,
Which would be pursued by the county or the DA's office. It would not be on citizenry to pursue it, but I don't think it qualifies.
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
how many times would it take the sheriff being called out, like 4 weekends in a row, for it to be called a nuisance?
That's a good question.
I think,
I don't think there's any particular number as to where what, but people are to be a nuisance, but I got every belief that Kansas City, where Mr. Jefferson lives, is fine, that noise is a nuisance.
Oh, I agree.
Repetitive noise of that decibel level is a nuisance.
Yeah, I agree.
You gotta get through that.
Right. Well, I tend to agree with Ms. Howe that getting out in front of this
Yeah.
and having something makes more sense. And say, here are the regulations, you're gonna meet this or you're not gonna do it.
so along those lines, if we did something to get in front of it, to get your business license renewed, it would fall as an attachment to your new business license maybe. So that might be a solution to, you know, to renew your business license. They do that annually.
Well,
With no
okay,
grandfathering,
Tanya.
would be great.
Yes.
I have a
Ms.
question. The problem we're having, is it like with a business? Some of them have used the word vineyard, so is it with a business, or are we having more of our problems with what I call individuals? If it is a business, I'm assuming when they get a permit or whatever through planning, that there has to be some rules by what meetings I've attended. So why cannot, when it comes to vineyard, well, and I didn't pronounce it correctly, I apologize.
Vineyard.
But when it comes to that, why can there not be something put in to planning that at this time, you shut it down, it's quiet for the sake of the neighbors?
Okay. One more question.
She brought up a good point.
The venue is one thing, but the family that was here the time before,
Amen.
it was not a venue.
Amen.
That was a terrible, horrible, terrible
Amen.
thing about the noise at all times of the day, and that is what do you call it, public nuisance.
Right.
That just needs to be squashed.
Amen.
Well, and it needs, so that, I don't even, I hope we can address both things is what I'm getting at. Because I'm really after that venue business, but, but how do we, if I went out and waved a gun, I expect the
under
law would be
vigilance.
after me and I would be I would be disorderly. That's the word I'm looking for. I would be disorderly. Well, so is somebody who's ramping up the noise throughout the day and night. That's disorderly and it needs to stop. So I hope we can address all of this real soon. Thank you.
Mr. Neesmith, last one.
I think you gotta have a magic number on the noise level before you can do anything.
See, I disagree. I think it'd be like saying that this alcohol selling store, oh my gosh, you're near a school and you took out 3 barrels and you're near a church, and it's not the amount, it's the fact that you're there. You're too close to where kids are learning, and that's how it used to be that isn't right now. So why can't we do the same thing and say noise? If you're, because you're allowed to put a radio out on your porch, but if it's disturbing a neighbor 1,000 yards away, now we got a problem.
We've got an ordinance now, we've got an ordinance on firecrackers. Yeah, you're not allowed in the county, but we still got them, don't we?
Yeah, you do in my
We'll
neighbors.
remain silent on that.
These are in an isolated place, there are about 4 or 5 of these venues around.
Okay,
So
so,
you tell this man that owns that venue, if you don't hold your noise down level so loud, we're gonna shut you down. That's
Okay.
what it's gotta, that's
So
what it's gotta do.
let's-
It's gotta happen through him. I know, I've got one of them.
right.
I've got neighbors, lives 50 foot from mine. I've never had a call to the sheriff's department. Cause I'm compassionate, I know what the noise level is. I go over and tell them, I told the guy, I told him last year, I said, you gotta cut this noise down. He cut it down a little bit. I had my meter, he had his meter. I said, it's still too loud. He walked over and I said, well, I can cut it down. He said, how you cut it down? I said, I'll pull your plug. It's up to the man running the place that's gotta control this thing. That's where it's gotta come from.
Okay. So if the,
And I'll pull it.
if the commission will allow, I will study further with planning and zoning questions and see where it takes us to another discussion, if that's in agreement with everybody.
Please.
Sooner than later, yes.
Okay.
Soon
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Richardson. So yes, we will look forward to further discussion next month. Possible regulations on a venue or what have you. We'll now move to our Calendar Rules Committee. Chairman Doty, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call the Calendar and Rules Committee meeting to order. Do I have anyone wishing to address this body at this time?
So,
Noe 2343 Joe Stevens Road. I would like to ask that, in light of the situation with Gale Free and the Road Commission, that you add an item now to the calendar, your meeting on the 20th, so that the people who are represented by Mr. Doty in District 3 and by Mr. Neesmith in District 4 would have somebody representing them at the July Road Commission meeting. You would need to do it now because there are notices that have to be provided and other things that have to be procedurally in order to do this on the 20th. So I would ask that you consider that, get any notices done immediately so that you would have, you would met all time requirements and would be able to vote on the 20th. There's only one person running. So most of the time in a situation like that, they appoint the person, the only person who happens to be running, and unless something dramatic happens, that person will be legally elected in August and take office in September anyway. So, and I believe that's Mr. Britt, Terry Britt. So it makes perfect sense, and you all have known this, and Mr. Britton has known it, a minimum of 2 months. There are some people on the road commission, all road commissioners have known it since December. This idea that, well, we're not sure, ask. You had your attorney sitting here. It's easy to find these things out if you want to find them out. So I ask that you put that on your agenda and don't leave the people in the 3rd and 4th district without a representative, as they have been without a legal representative since December. Yes, she attended some meetings. She got paid after she had forfeited her seat when she moved. And it's time to fix it. And don't leave those people without representation. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Amen.
Do I have anyone else?
So,
Holden, I live at 8150 West Point Drive. I was at the road commissioner meeting. I talked to a road commissioner about it, and he said that it had been going on for a long time. So, I mean, we're not supposed to be doing stuff like that. We're supposed to be honest and truthful. So fix the problem, would you please?
Thank you for your comments. Do I have anyone else?
Good afternoon, my name is Rhonda Morgan. I would like for it to be put on the agenda for the 20th. I attended one of the planning meetings the other day, and a gentleman come up and asked for a permission to put 3 campers on his property. And of course, I guess that would be considered a campground, I'm assuming. And they asked him if the people in the campers were going to be living year-round, you know, as a permanent resident. And the response was, no, he's going to stay there. They're going to stay 21 days and then leave for 3 days and come back. I'm confused on that. And I was just wondering if you could put it on the next agenda and somebody cleared that up for me. What's the difference in staying 21 days and leaving 3 days and coming right back to your camper than it being a permanent residence? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Item 4A, have the review of the regular calendar items, and we have a few light changes in between item D and E. We'll be adding the approval of the surplus of the vehicle that is going to the Conservation District. So that will probably be shifting every one of them down one. Excuse me. Item H, we have the, for the lockers, we have that we, as committee, approved business systems for $28,892.63. under budget amendments, excuse me. Under budget amendments, number 1, the Hamblen County Board of Education Amendment number 9, for $17,670. It's for tutoring. That one be separated from, and an additional would be one from the grant from Tennessee Arts Commission, that there was $926.20 left over, and the committee approved for that to go to art supplies for the other schools. With those changes, do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Horner, do I have a second? Second, Ms. Ahern. Do I have any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's see, are we going to, we're gonna wait on Mr. Richardson to come back, and are we gonna, can we discuss, can we put campers on there? Where do campers fit? I didn't see that spot.
I think that, may I?
Yes, Mr.
That needs to go through the planning commission, and then it can come to us for approval. I'm not certain what the lady spoke of, 21 days and leaving 3. I really don't understand what that was. It could be considered campground. I really don't know the campground regulations on that.
If I might, I was in the planning commission.
Yes, sir.
And it was said by that gentleman that not only would they not be staying in those campers, but they would be completely unhooked. This is a campground where they'll be staying, so not only will they not be staying in those, they will be completely unhooked from sewer, water, and electric for at least 3 to 4 days before back. And apparently that is some type of regulation, because he knew about it prior to. Now,
So it's a planning thing.
it was a planning thing, something that they had on the books there.
I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that campground regulations will be taken up by the planning commission very soon, and that would entail what she was speaking of, I'm sure.
Again, it was a work in progress.
Yes, it is, yes.
Any other discussion?
Chairman Doty,
Yes, ma'am.
may I ask a question?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know I'm not on your committee, but why can we not put it on the agenda to at least let people have the opportunity to come in and look at possibly if they can dispose of their waste properly, changing it to where that they can at least live in those, and I'm talking about one camper on their own land. That's all I'm talking about, because we don't need any more homeless people in Hamblen County. When we did our last community project, and it was closed for the homeless through COA, there was so many people that it was unbelievable. I had no idea that we had that many folks. But it is something that we need to, as a commission, take a look at. Because we've got folks that have no other way. We have folks that are older, that other than a social security check, they have no other income. This is going to make it impossible on them. So why can we not put it on there to at least give a chance to publicly discuss it and look at alternatives?
If I may, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Again, this would
Good,
be
Mr.
coming through the planning commission, and then we could work through that. At this time, this county does not have zoning or building codes that permit permanent residence in the camper. It's been in place since 1990. It's unfortunate that now it's come to a head, but it's been in place. That's simple fact. It's been in place. There was enforcement done in previous years, and it was lax during the COVID years, just as things happened. It became lax, and during that time, we've exploded, if you will, to several complaints. That said, I'm not saying that something can't be discussed, but I think the planning commission needs to take it up first. They have extended it, to my knowledge, they extended 90 days to whatever deadline was imposed. And there's more to discuss there. There's cleanup to do, I would agree with you, but currently we do not have zoning or building codes that allow a permanent residence outside of a campground. And that said, that's the simple put. I would ask you to petition the planning commission first.
May I comment to that, please, sir?
That's chairman.
I'm sorry. My question is why we cannot amend it as a county commission. We're supposed to be, from what I read, the legislative body. So why can we not amend it to give these folks ease? I do realize that they gave them an additional 90 days, and thank God they did, because there were some people there that would break your heart to listen to them talk.
Redress.
But why can we not, as a commission, and
Not-
we're all elected here, I mean, there's none of us that got, just appointed, but why can we not look at that if they are at least disposing of their waste properly? I, for one, was raised without electricity for a long time. We didn't get a bathroom till I got to high school, folks, and I'm 70 years old. There are alternatives that we could look at if we would.
Yes, I agree. Again, I will redress that the planning commission needs to take this up first. And as far as this commission, I will restate that we do not have zoning or building codes. And if we go to adopting and changing those, you're opening up different areas of liability. I just don't see that from this body. I'm willing to talk about it and look at it. I have no problem with that. But I'm telling you, the way this county stands, we do not have zoning, nor do we have building codes that allow permanent residence in an RV or a camper.
Mr. Dean Smith.
Got a couple of things. I think planning's already ruled on it because the last planning commission, they got a motion, the grandfather, and got a second. It was turned down by the planning commission. Another thing on planning commission, in the building industrial thing that we approved in 2018, it says nothing, I've read it, it says nothing about storing of campers on a private lot. Yet the planning has already ruled on that with this lady, Miss Moore, and told her she could not store her camper on her property. She'd have to move it up to where her house is, up next to Bull's Gap. Although it did have a permit to put the cover, $8,000 cover over her camper. She had never lived in it. She's now got the water hooked up. She's not got the sewer ever hooked up. The tank is sitting there. She's never done it. But she cannot store her own camper on that piece of property. She had to move it up there and build a $10,000 cover up there. So I think planning's done ruled on both these, but
Redress.
that one, Ben, we did that international building code, but the international building code doesn't say one thing about storing a camper
Yes, sir.
or RV.
Right. Chairman, redress, one last time, I'll say this, Mr. Neesmith, I agree with you in what you just said, and I think the planning commission is gonna look at that again. I have talked to the chairman to discuss that, okay? So I do think that item will be taken up, and there'll be some clarification coming. I don't know exactly what, but I took my grievance to the planning commission, is where I went. And once they do that and they send something to us to adopt, and then we'll take that up. Otherwise, we don't need the
Planning never
planning
should have ruled
commission.
on it.
Well, I can't disagree with
First place,
you.
they never should have voted on it.
Can't disagree with you on that. So I think that is something they will take up.
They thought they could get by with it.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it was an
They
overstep.
did, evidently.
Well, again, I think that planning commission will be looking at that once again.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. We had a motion and a second. We'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the regular calendar items with the additions that I mentioned, let it be known, approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4B is review of the consent calendar items. Do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Horner, motion. Do I have a second? Second. Second, Mr. Hone. Thank you, sir. Any discussion on the consent calendar items? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty of the Calendar Rules. Thank you, sir. Folks, are all minds clear? We are adjourned.
Hey, Bobby, you're on the rec board, aren't you? You can't start a ball game that won't be finished at 11 o'clock. Huh?